Hello, and welcome to English Broadcast Studio. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're diving into 20 essential phrases for daily communication. Whether you're learning English or just looking to brush up on your conversational skills, this video will give you practical phrases to use in any situation.
That's right, Alex. I'm Sarah, and we're going to break down these phrases into simple, easy-to-understand examples so you can use them in your everyday life. Let's get started.
All right, Sarah, what's our first phrase for the day?
The first phrase we have is, how's it going? This is a casual way to ask someone how they are. You can use it with friends, family, or even colleagues. It's much more relaxed than saying, how are you?
Exactly. For example, you could say, "Hey, Sarah, how's it going?" And I could respond with, "It's going great. Thanks for asking."
Right. And notice how we're using it in a friendly tone. It's informal, so be sure to use it with people you're comfortable with.
Definitely. Now, what's next?
The next phrase is, what's up? This is another casual greeting, and it's often used among friends. It's a way of asking, what's going on? Or, how are you?
So you could say, "Hey, Alex, what's up?" And I might respond, "Not much, just relaxing. What's up with you?"
You got it, Alex. What's up is very common in everyday conversations. But remember, it's informal, so you wouldn't use it in a professional setting or with people you don't know well.
Definitely. All right, moving on. The third phrase we have is long time no see.
Yes. This one's a fun one. It's a phrase you use when you haven't seen someone in a while. It's often used when you run into someone you haven't met for a long time.
For example, I might say, "Sarah, long time no see. How have you been?" And Sarah could reply, "I've been good, Alex. How about you?" It's a great way to show excitement when reconnecting with someone, and it's very casual, so don't use it in formal situations.
Right. Good point, Sarah. Let's move on to the next phrase. I'm just kidding.
This one's super useful. You use "I'm just kidding" when you want to let someone know that what you just said was a joke or not serious.
So, for example, if I said, I'm going to quit my job and become a professional gamer, and I don't really mean it, I could follow it up with, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. It's a great way to clarify when you're joking so that no one takes you seriously. Always use it when you're making a playful comment.
Okay, Sarah, what's next on our list?
Our next phrase is "take it easy." This is something you say to someone when you want them to relax or not worry too much about something.
So, for instance, if a friend is stressed about something, you might say, hey, take it easy. Everything will be fine.
That's right. It's a soothing phrase to help someone feel more relaxed, and you can also use it when saying goodbye. For example, "Take it easy, Alex. See you later."
Exactly, Sarah. It's a versatile phrase you can use in different contexts.
Moving on, we have "no worries." This is something you say to someone when you want to reassure them that everything is fine or that there's no problem.
For example, if someone apologizes to me for being late, I might say, no worries, it's not a big deal.
It's definitely one of my favorite phrases. Now, let's talk about, could you do me a favor?
This one is great for asking someone to help you with something. You use it when you don't want to be too direct or demanding.
For instance, if I'm carrying something heavy, I might say, "Hey, Sarah, could you do me a favor and help me with this?" It's polite and shows that you're asking for a favor, not demanding it.
Exactly. And if you agreed to help, you could say, sure, I'd be happy to help.
Perfect. All right, next up is, what do you think? This is a great way to ask for someone's opinion or feedback on something.
Yeah, it's a phrase you can use in both personal and professional settings. For example, if I'm showing you a new project I'm working on, I might ask, what do you think of this design?
And I might say, "It looks great, but maybe you could try a different color scheme." It's a simple way to engage in a conversation and get someone's thoughts.
Exactly. Now, the next phrase is, I'm looking forward to it. This is a phrase you use when you're excited about something that's going to happen in the future.
For example, if we're planning a trip together, I might say, "I'm looking forward to our vacation next month." It shows excitement and anticipation.
It's a great phrase to use when talking about plans, events, or anything you're excited about.
All right, let's move on to the next phrase. This one is really important. "I'm sorry." You use this when you want to apologize or show remorse for something you've done wrong.
Yes, and you can say it in many different situations. For example, if you accidentally bump into someone, you can say, oh, I'm sorry. Or if you need to apologize for something bigger, you could say, I'm really sorry for being late.
It's always important to acknowledge when something goes wrong, and saying, "I'm sorry" is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. And if you want to accept someone's apology, you can say, no problem, or it's okay. That lets them know there's no hard feelings.
Next up, we have, "I don't understand." This is a super useful phrase when you're having trouble following a conversation or you need clarification on something.
Right. If someone is explaining something complicated and you don't quite get it, you can simply say, sorry, I don't understand. It's polite and it helps move the conversation forward so they can explain it again.
Exactly. And if you're trying to understand something better, you could add, "Could you explain that again?"
That's a great follow-up. Now, the next phrase is, I'll be right back. This is something you say when you're going to leave for a short period of time, but you'll return shortly.
So, for example, if you're at a meeting and need to step out for a second, you might say, "I'll be right back. Just need to take a quick phone call."
It's a very clear way to let people know that you're leaving temporarily and will return soon.
Perfect. Moving on to the next one. How do you say this in English? This is a great question when you're learning English and you want to know how to say something correctly.
If you're unsure about how to express something in English, you can ask, how do you say this in English? It's a helpful way to learn new words and phrases.
Exactly. It's an excellent phrase to ask in a language learning environment, and it encourages learning in real time. For example, if you're speaking with a native speaker and want to know a translation, you could say, "How do you say this in English?" And then show them what you mean.
Yes. Now, let's talk about, could you repeat that? This is a very useful phrase when you need someone to say something again, especially if you didn't hear or understand them the first time.
If you're in a noisy environment and you didn't catch what they said, you can politely say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" It's better than pretending you understood when you really didn't.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's totally okay to ask someone to repeat something, and it shows you want to understand clearly.
Next, we have the phrase, "take care." This is a nice, friendly way to say goodbye to someone. You can use it when you're leaving or when someone else is leaving.
For example, take care, Alex. I'll see you tomorrow. It's a warm and caring phrase, often used with close friends or family.
Absolutely. It's a bit more personal than just saying goodbye or see you later. It adds a nice touch of care.
Our next phrase is, that sounds good. This is a positive response when you like an idea, suggestion, or plan.
For example, if someone says, "Let's go for lunch tomorrow," you can reply with, "That sounds good." It shows you're on board with the idea.
It's a simple yet effective way to express agreement in any conversation. You can also say, that sounds great, or sounds like a plan.
Next up is, "What's the matter?" This is a phrase you use when you notice something is wrong and you want to ask what's going on.
For example, if someone looks upset, you could ask, hey, what's the matter? You seem a little down.
It's a caring way to check in with someone and show concern for their well-being.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about I agree. This is a simple way to show that you have the same opinion as someone else.
For instance, if you and I are discussing a topic and I say, "I think it's going to rain tomorrow," and you agree, you could say, "I agree, the forecast says so too."
It's a clear and direct way to show that you shared the same thoughts on something. You can also say, I totally agree, or I couldn't agree more.
All right, now let's wrap it up with our final phrase for today. It doesn't matter. This is something you say when something is not important or when you're okay with whatever happens.
For example, if someone says, should we take the bus or the train? And you don't mind either option, you could say, it doesn't matter to me.
Exactly. It's a phrase to show indifference or flexibility when making a decision. And let's dive into a few more important phrases that will make your daily English communication even smoother.
Absolutely, Alex. So the next phrase we have is, I'll get it. This is a helpful phrase when you're offering to handle a situation, like answering the phone, opening the door, or handling an issue.
Right. For instance, if the doorbell rings and someone is busy, you could say, "I'll get it," as a way of volunteering to answer the door. It shows you're willing to help out.
Exactly. It's a simple phrase, but very useful in everyday situations where you're stepping in to assist.
Right. Now, let's look at
I didn't catch that. This is a polite way to let someone know you didn't understand or hear what they said.
If you're in a meeting or a conversation where someone's speaking too quickly and you miss something, you could say, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it, please?
It's very polite, and it shows you care about understanding what's being said. Remember, there's no harm in asking for repetition when necessary.
Another one that's similar is, could you speak more slowly? If you're finding it difficult to follow because someone is speaking too quickly, this phrase will help.
Exactly. For example, you could say, sorry, could you speak more slowly? I'm still learning English. It's a great way to ask for clarity in a respectful manner.
Right, and don't hesitate to ask if you need more time to understand what's being discussed.
Next up is, let me think. This is something you say when you're taking a moment to process or come up with an answer to a question or a problem.
For example, if someone asks you a tricky question, you can say, let me think about that for a moment, and then pause before you respond. It gives you time to gather your thoughts.
Exactly. It's a useful phrase to have when you need a moment to respond thoughtfully instead of rushing your answer.
Moving on, let's talk about it's up to you. This is a phrase you use when you're giving someone the choice or decision, meaning that it's their responsibility or discretion.
Right. For example, if someone asks whether they should go left or right, you can say, it's up to you. It shows you're giving them the freedom to choose.
That's right. It's a great way to show that you're not trying to control the situation, but leaving it open to the other person's preference.
And now we have, I'll think about it. This is a phrase you use when you're not sure about something yet and you need more time to make a decision.
For instance, if someone offers you something, like a new project or an invitation, and you're not ready to decide, you can say, I'll think about it and let you know.
That's perfect, Alex. It's a way to keep things open while still showing that you're considering the option.
All right, let's move to I'm not sure. This is a phrase helpful when you want to express uncertainty or when you don't know something for sure.
If someone asks you about a specific detail, like a meeting time or an event date, and you don't know for certain, you can say, I'm not sure. Let me check and get back to you.
Exactly. It's a polite way of expressing that you don't have an immediate answer, but you're willing to find out.
Now, we have, that's too bad. This is a phrase you can use when something unfortunate happens and you want to show sympathy or understanding.
For example, if a friend tells you that their flight got canceled, you might say, that's too bad. I'm really sorry to hear that.
It's a kind way to acknowledge someone's misfortune or disappointment. And if someone is offering to do something for you and you don't want to trouble them, you can say, it's okay, don't worry about it. This is a way to politely decline help or an offer.
Yes. So if someone asks, do you need help with that? And you don't need any, you could say, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's a polite and friendly way to let them know that there's no need for concern or assistance.
Now, the next phrase is, can you help me? This is one of the most straightforward ways to ask for assistance, and it's perfect for both formal and informal situations.
For example, if you're struggling with something like carrying groceries, you might say, can you help me with these bags?
It's a direct and polite way to ask for help, and it's always good to use please to make it even more courteous. Can you please help me?
Definitely. A little politeness goes a long way in making your request sound better.
Another useful phrase is, I'm not familiar with that. This is a great phrase to use when you're in a conversation about something you don't know much about.
If someone talks about a new technology or a specific topic that you're not aware of, you can say, I'm not familiar with that. Could you tell me more?
It's a humble way to express that you don't have knowledge on a certain subject, but are open to learning.
Great point, Alex. And finally, let's talk about that makes sense. This is a phrase you use when you understand something or when someone's explanation is clear.
For example, if I'm explaining how to use a new software and you get it, you could say, that makes sense. It shows you understand what's being said.
It's a simple and reassuring way to confirm that things are clear. You can also say, I see, or got it as alternatives.
Yeah.
And that wraps up our conversation on 20 essential phrases for daily communication. We hope these phrases help you feel more confident and comfortable while speaking English.
Thank you for sticking with us through these practical and useful phrases.
We hope you're feeling more confident about your English conversations. But before we wrap up, let's take a quick moment to talk about how to practice these phrases effectively.
That's a great point, Alex. Just knowing these phrases is one thing, but actually using them in conversations is key to becoming fluent. The more you practice, the more natural they will sound.
Exactly, Sarah. One tip I always give people is to try to use at least one new phrase each day. Whether you're talking to a friend, a colleague, or even practicing by yourself, it helps to incorporate these phrases into real conversations.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's a normal part of learning, and it helps you get better. If you use a phrase incorrectly, the person you're talking to will probably correct you, which is a great learning opportunity.
Absolutely, Sarah. The most important thing is to keep practicing and not get discouraged. You'll get better and more comfortable over time.
Another great way to practice is by listening to native speakers. You can watch movies, TV shows, or even YouTube videos in English and pay attention to how these phrases are used in different situations.
That's a wonderful tip, Sarah. Watching content in English helps you understand that not only the phrases, but also how tone and body language play a part in communication.
Exactly. And you can even repeat what you hear to practice your pronunciation. If you watch something with subtitles, it can also help you associate the spoken words with their written form, which is excellent for reinforcing vocabulary.
For sure. Another thing I recommend is practicing with a language partner. If you have a friend or someone you know who's fluent in English, try to have a conversation with them and incorporate the phrases we discussed today.
Language exchange apps can also be a great way to find practice partners. You can connect with native speakers and learn in a fun, conversational setting. Plus, they're usually happy to help with corrections and suggestions.
That's an awesome way to get real-life practice and receive immediate feedback, which can really speed up your learning process.
We also encourage you to be patient with yourself. Language learning is a journey, and it takes time. Celebrate the small victories, like when you successfully use a new phrase in a conversation.
That's so true, Sarah. Each time you incorporate a new phrase into your vocabulary, you're one step closer to speaking English more fluently and confidently.
And don't forget, being confident is half the battle. Even if you're unsure, speaking with confidence makes a huge difference. People will understand you more easily, and it'll help you feel more comfortable.
Great point, Sarah. Speaking of confidence, let's also mention how body language plays a huge role in communication. Sometimes your gestures, facial expressions, and posture can make your message even clearer.
Definitely. For example, if you're saying, I'm sorry, a genuine tone and an empathetic expression can really show that you mean it. Similarly, when saying, I agree, nodding your head can help convey your message.
Yes, nonverbal communication is just as important as the words you say. It shows your engagement and helps people understand you better.
So, to sum it up, practice every day, be patient with yourself, and pay attention to both your words and body language.
Exactly, Sarah. And with that, we've covered a wide variety of essential phrases that will help you in many daily situations. We hope you feel ready to start incorporating them into your conversations.
We're so glad you joined us today on English Broadcast Studio. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear how you're practicing these phrases.
And if there are any specific topics you'd like us to cover in future videos, feel free to let us know in the comments. We're always looking for new ideas to help you on your language learning journey.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope this video has been helpful, and we can't wait to bring you more content in the future. Until next time, take care.
Goodbye, everyone, and see you in the next video. Keep practicing and keep improving your English. We'll be here to help you every step of the way.